Hello, my name is Rose Riley, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Washtenaw County. Welcome to our online candidate forum for the August 6th primary election. The League is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that promotes voter education and participation. And we host candidate forums to help voters make informed choices. Now, let's hear from the candidates.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Hornberger, and I will moderate the forum tonight. It's my honor to introduce the two candidates running in the Democratic primary for Washtenaw County Clerk, Register of Deeds, Shelly Brock and Lawrence Kestenbaum. Thank you, candidates, for being here and participating in this forum. Before we begin questions, we're now ready for your opening statement. Ms. Brock.
Hi, my name is Shelly Brock. First, I want to thank you for doing this. It's a nice platform for people to kind of get to know me a little better. I am actually recently retired. Yesterday is my first day of retired, and I've been looking for a career shift. And I have a master's degree in educational psychology, and I did a lot of administrative work before I started teaching. And I've taught in Ann Arbor schools for 33 years. And I was started looking for what I was going to shift to. And someone close to our family talked about county positions. And I've lived in this county for 35 years and I love this county. I horseback ride. I do a lot of different things to where I've gotten to know the different areas, which is really unique to this area. Ann Arbor schools, every school, each neighborhood is completely different from another. And then you go to Saline, Chelsea, Dexter, they're all different. So I'm really excited for this opportunity to create an office that is open and welcoming to everyone. But I am a single mom with two little girls that I fostered and adopted, Sophie and Savannah. So I'm here to let people get to know me a little bit.
Thank you. Mr. Kestenbaum, may we have your opening statement?
Yes. Throughout the nearly 2 decades I've been county clerk register, my office has made advances in efficiency and customer service. We have a smaller staff than what I started with, who capably and graciously serve the county's growing population. 2 centuries of paper land records have been digitized and moved out of a potential flood zone. And through a time of rapid legal and technological change and increased scrutiny, Washtenaw elections have been almost trouble-free. My educational background includes a BA in economics, a law degree, and graduate work in historic preservation planning. I've lectured or taught classes at 3 universities, and I often speak to service groups and lecture series. Before I was clerk, I served as county commissioner in Ingham and Washtenaw counties. In 1996, at the beginning of the World Wide Web, I created the political graveyard website, politicalgraveyard.com, which makes a tremendous amount of US political history available online. The election process has fascinated me all my life. I served as a city and township poll worker and attorney for candidates and recounts, and I headed up voter registration drives. I've written and lectured on election issues such as voter authentication, tabulation technology, and security. In office and at the state level, as a member of the county clerk's legislative committee, I've been in the forefront of advocating and implementing improvements. And I hope we can discuss these things more as we go on.
Thank you both. And we will now move to the questions. So we'll start with Mr. Kestenbaum for the first question, and Ms. Brock, I'll have you answer after he does. The first question is on voter turnout. And the question is, as chief election official of the county, what is the county clerk's role in increasing participation in elections, especially increasing the number of registered voters and encouraging turnout?
Well, the number of registered voters is not the kind of hard ceiling that it used to be. Now that we have election day registration, very basically in the last 14 days, people can come to the clerk's office or to a satellite site in the case of Ann Arbor to register to vote in preparation for the election or at the time of the election. My office is not really pushing voter turnout, but we have tried to make voting easier, more accessible, and so forth. I've supported legislation and ballot proposals We now have 9 days of early voting, which is new to Michigan, which will be implemented, was implemented for the presidential primary, but it basically it's starting this year. We have a very high turnout in this county. This is a very politically engaged area, and I'm proud of the participation in this county.
Ms. Brock?
To increase voter turnout, I think that mainly the biggest thing is making sure that everyone has a way to vote regardless of their neighborhood, their economic background. And part of that is helping them to see and learn about the different ways of voting. So doing different things, working with the staff to maybe add something like videos that show the difference between early voting, absentee voting, and in-person voting. Same thing with getting people to come out and be poll workers, making sure that we have enough people to do that, showing them what is it going to entail when you do this. This is what it's going to look like. So I think sometimes maybe adding some videos to the website might help. And then just making sure that we have trained staff and that we're following what we need to do with the Bureau of Elections and making sure that we have as many people trained as possible so that it can be an efficient, effective way for them to vote so that it's a very positive experience when they come. And hopefully that will get as many people out to vote as they can.
Thank you. So for question 2, Ms. Brock, will have you go first. And question 2 is around voting reform. What steps should the county clerk's office take to support city and township clerks in implementing the recent changes to Michigan's voting laws?
I think that it's mainly, like I said, trying to inform the public. And part of it is I'm still learning a lot of it too, because I think a lot of it changes. And like someone was telling me, it's supposedly if you vote early, you have to vote straight ticket. And I'm like, that doesn't seem right. So I would have to follow up and make sure that I know exactly what all the newest rules are, and then making sure that we effectively communicate those to the public. And I think that is something that I'm going to be incredibly good at. I mean, I'm very good at training people, knowing when they're getting something, when they're not getting something, and helping people to be good trainers. And then thinking about, is our message coming from our office as clear as possible and as easy as possible for people to know what are the opportunities that are open to them?
Mr. Kestenbaum, would you like me to repeat the question?
I'm sorry, yes, please repeat the question.
Yeah, happy to. What steps should the county clerk's office take to support city and township clerks in implementing the recent changes to Michigan's voting laws?
Well, the biggest recent change was the creation of 9 days of early voting. And we work with all of the, as part of putting on an election, it requires the cooperation of all 27 city and township clerks in the county. And I'm very proud of the relationship that I have with all of those clerks. And we worked out basically with early voting. It was left up to each area to decide how to implement early voting, who should be in charge of it, and how many sites, all those kinds of things. And in Washtenaw County, we got 23 of the 27 jurisdictions in the county on county operated. Basically, my office is running 5 sites for early voting in different parts of the county and having these consolidated sites in each area rather than each area going on their own. It's a great savings of resources for all of those jurisdictions. The only exceptions, the city of Ann Arbor, which has good reasons to be on its own. The city of Milan, which is split by the county line and would be awkward to combine with any other area, and Ypsilanti Township and Bridgewater Township. All the others, the voters who come to vote early from all those other areas will be coming to a site operated by my office in cooperation with the city and township clerks. But the Michigan has, again, a very decentralized voting system compared with any other state, and so it's a constant process of educating and bringing up to speed again, more than 1,000 local clerks in the state of Michigan. I should mention in regard to the previous question, we did have some videos which were made to explain the voting process. Never mind.
Thank you both. For the third question, Mr. Kestenbaum, I'll have you go first. And the question is around fiscal expertise. The county clerk's office has an annual budget of approximately 3.5 million. What experience or education prepares you to oversee finances of this magnitude?
Well, I have been doing it now for 20 years. And prior to that, I was on the County Board of Commissioners for Washtenaw County and previously for Ingham County. I studied accounting when I was an undergrad, and I have been involved in. I was on the personnel committee. I was chair of the personnel committee in the Ingham County Board of Commissioners. So I have, I think, done a very good job with the administering the office, administering the finances of the office over the last 20 years.
Thank you.
Hi, I ended up doing the budgets and stuff when I was running different camps and different camp programs. I also used to do my horse trainer's books for her for a while, and we'd trade off things. But the biggest thing that I know that I would do coming in is work with my staff, look at what resources we have, look at where the resources are going out, try to keep track of what questions and stuff are coming in, making sure that our resources that we have are going to the highest needs of the community, and working with my staff to make sure that that's what we're doing. I'm also if I did my biggest strength in school, it's math. It's like a challenge. It's fun making sure that all that lines up. I love doing the mathematical part.
Thank you. Question for Ms. Brock, you will go first for this one, is around values. Please give us a story of how you made a difficult personal or professional decision because of a core value that you hold.
I guess I would say I am someone who genuinely cares about everybody, even if it ends up being to the detriment of myself, where I've had a couple examples where when I see what classes are being passed on, if they're not how they should be, or if one teacher's kind of getting targeted, then I will say something. Or even a situation, I will say something when others don't, even if it ends up negatively affecting. I don't want to get into real specifics with school, but when other people don't because they're more non-confrontational and they want to keep things smooth, if it's going to have a negative effect on someone or the students or my school, I will stand up and say something when others don't. And I think that also comes into play with a lot of the cultural diversity. I have like 20 years of cultural diversity training. And so when we're learning about different things, and I will go to people, and like a parent that I was really close to when we were talking about different races, we're at our parent teacher conference, and I said to her, have you found Eberwhite to be racist? And she answered very honestly. I think I make people feel very comfortable and know that I genuinely am here and listening. And then she said, not within the building, but sometimes out on the playground. I don't always get asked to be involved with other families, or my son doesn't always get invited to birthday parties. So I go out of my way to make people feel comfortable, and I stand up and say something when others don't.
Mr. Kestenbaum?
In 2014, we had a situation where Michigan had passed an amendment prohibiting same-sex marriage, and Judge Friedman in Detroit in March of 2014 handed down a decision striking down that prohibition. And that was at 5 p.m. on a Friday. And it was expected that the state was going to go down to Cincinnati to the Sixth Circuit to try to get that decision stayed or reversed. But in the meantime, same-sex marriage became legal in Michigan during that period. And I had a number of folks who were urging me to open the office Friday night or on Saturday to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. And I was at first, dubious about it because I thought this is over. The state had done such a poor job in defending this ban that I anticipated that on Monday we'd be open up. That we and other parts of the state we would be issuing same-sex marriage licenses, but I was persuaded that that this was a unique opportunity, and I was concerned about the employees, whether our staff would be willing to come in on a Saturday, how that would interact with the labor contracts and so forth, the building security. And once that was all in place, that those things were not a problem, that the county administrator was standing with us, willing to provide all those things. I opened up the office on that Saturday, and 3 other county clerks around the state did the same, and hundreds of marriage licenses were issued, 75 in this county and more in the other counties.
Thank you. Question 5, and this is Mr. Kestenbaum, you will go first. It's around the topic of cybersecurity. The clerk's office is responsible for the integrity of many sensitive documents, including voter registration and land ownership records. What additional steps, if any, need to be taken to protect the integrity of these records?
Well, the records that have required the most security, or the most certainly the legal environment around them that we have, are the birth certificates. Birth certificates are considered breeder documents because they can be used to create fake identities, or steal someone's identity. And so the access to birth certificates is very highly restricted under state and federal law. But we are very conscious of the possibility of either malware or other kind of disruption to our computer systems during an election. And we have, I'm saying we, the election, administration around the state, have taken this very seriously. We've had exercises, and we have been exchanging information. We have a cybersecurity coordinator at the county level, and also at the state level. And again, this is constant. We're constantly working on this because it's incumbent on the county to take care and to do these things. And one of the fears is that something will happen to bring down our systems or to create a problem on election day or on election night. And so we have endeavored to make redundant backup processes so that if something happened to some aspect of it, if the power went down, we have generators. If we have, there are different systems that we can use if one of them fails. So I think that we're in pretty good shape, but with security as a moving target, you have to constantly keep up to date with it.
Thank you.
He's said a lot of it. I mean, it is definitely important to make sure that there's a lot of integrity around the office, that we do whatever we can to make sure that we protect social security numbers, all of that. Most of that I think has been taken care of as old records have been put in. I think making sure that we keep on top of, and this will be communicating with registrars around the county or state and county, and with the election, with other county clerks, making sure that we stay on top of new things that are happening, and then making sure that we work with different officials to make sure that whether it's the Bureau of Elections or whomever, that we are implementing new ways and new programs that we're using efficiently, and that everyone is incredibly well trained and knowledgeable of what are the new things that are being tried. And part of it is just making sure that you're staying on top of the changes and making sure there's training and communication around what your staff needs to do to make sure the integrity of the office and of the election sites is held.
Thank you. We have one final question before we go into our closing statements. And this one will be, Ms. Brock, you will go first. And the question is around the topic of election security. Do you believe Michigan's elections are fair and reliable, and were past election results accurate?
I do. I think that the state has worked very hard with the Bureau of Elections to set out a process that makes sure there's checks and balances to make sure that our tabulators are tabulating correctly and that you always have the written paper as a backup. And what was the second part of that?
The second part is, and were past election results accurate?
Yes, I do feel like everything has been followed to the T. And I think that as a state, we have been trying hard to make sure, like, I believe there should be early voting and I believe that there should be absentee voting, and that we need to make sure that all people from all races and all economic backgrounds can make sure that they can vote. And I think that the state and the county have all been trying very hard to make sure that that happens and that they're following the procedures set out for everyone across the state. I think it's great that they got new tabulators, and I think we're doing everything that we can.
Mr. Kestenbaum?
Well, obviously, this is something I get asked a lot. I think that Michigan elections are excellent, and compared to any other state, we have. I might recall back in 2016 when a lot of people had some question about what about the election when Donald Trump carried the state by a razor thin margin of 10,000 votes, whether our tabulated votes had been perhaps manipulated by someone. And so we had a recount or a partial recount, but we hand counted. I'm saying this, the state as a whole, the election administration, we hand counted more than 2 million ballots, and those the having voter marked paper ballots is by far the safest way of doing an election. And we need the tabulators because there are so many offices, there are so many things that it would take weeks to count everything by hand. But the tabulators proved themselves in that election. The hand counts showed that the tabulators were right on, and there were very, very slight differences attributable to situations where a human looking at a ballot would come to a slightly different conclusion than a machine reading that same ballot. So we have the Michigan election law. Every sensitive task in a precinct is handled by two poll workers of different parties, and we have again a long set of all of the processes and so forth to keep the election safe and secure and accurate.
Thank you both for responding to the questions. We'll now move into closing statements, and we will begin with Ms. Brock.
I am very, very excited about this opportunity. I feel that the roots of a happy, healthy community is our connections. And I very much would love the opportunity to create an office where the people that come in are treated more like a client than as a customer, and that we look at different ways that we can make information and coming in as comfortable as possible. I want to try to make sure that as people are coming in, we keep track of the different questions that are asked, the different requests that are made, so that we can make sure that we are prepared in meeting that with our training and with resources. I also want to look at maybe some different things like pairing up with, we have Eastern Michigan and Washtenaw Community College, maybe with professors, possibly with high school teachers, where we could possibly pair up with them and see if we can make some programs where we can bring in more young people, whether it's to help at the polls or shadow people. I am very excited about this. I feel like I would do a really good job, and I hope that what I'm saying rings true with you. And if it does, I hope you'll consider voting for me.
Mr. Kestenbaum?
Okay, really the byword of my office, the goal that I had when I was first elected, and which I think that we have been achieving, it's a day by day thing, is that every person who comes into the office is treated with courtesy and respect. And not only that, that even if a customer is rude or agitated or irate, that we don't reflect that back to them. We again continue to treat them with courtesy and respect. Now, there have been and will continue to be attacks on the election system and on some of the things implied by these questions. And Michigan is a flashpoint of that conflict or potential flashpoint. And I think that a county clerk with deep election experience is the best defense against those kinds of attacks. I also want to, excuse me, mention that I'm, as part of the county clerk's legislative committee, I'm active at the state level, and I have been joining in on amicus briefs on issues before the Michigan Supreme Court, election-related issues. And finally, county government is a patchwork. It's not designed for efficiency. It works as well as it does in Washtenaw County with our AAA top-notch bond rating because the county officials have worked together, made it a point of principle to work together and not at cross purposes.
Thank you so much, both of you, for participating in the session and for your time. It's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, having both of us.
The League thanks the candidates and volunteers who participated in today's forum and the community members who submitted questions. Please urge others to view our forums. Most importantly, please vote in the August 6th primary election, whether by absentee ballot or in person.